morning, students. Welcome to Vijay Chetana PU College. We are offering language teaching program for this year 2020-21. This is an extraordinary situation. We are meeting in a distant mode, in a face-to-face contact. The lessons will be very effective, and also we will get some feedback. But in a distant mode, you may feel a sort of lacuna. It may not be so effective, but because of circumstances, we have been forced to impart teaching through online program. So, this is our online program, language teaching program for this year. We will start with the grammar lessons. You know, for second year PUC, the grammar areas prescribed, perhaps you are familiar with grammar areas. I have been telling you repeatedly, in PU classes, we are not going to learn anything new from grammar areas. All the grammar areas have been taught and you have learned in your high school classes. From 8th to 10th, all the fundamental basic grammar concepts have been taught. In PU classes, that is in first and second year PUC, what we are trying to do is, we will try to consolidate all the grammar areas you have learned in your lower classes. So nothing new is there, is not there. Everything has been learned. In first PUC you have learned basic concepts like parts of speech, prepositions, articles, and very important area of grammar is tense system. And then auxiliaries, modal auxiliaries, and other important aspects. In second PUC, of course, 50%, as you are aware, 50% of marks is allotted for grammar and composition. And the grammar areas, if you have workbooks in your hand, you can see page 2 or 3 where language use is given. So the important areas we are going to discuss this year are pronouns, prepositions and articles, revision, this is only a revision, subject and verb agreement, jumbled segments, question words and question tags, and special expressions, means idiomatic expressions, and passive voice reported speech. These two things are very, very important. Passive voice and reported speech. This is for examination. The other areas are only for revision, and it's a sort of a reinforcement. You have learned already pronouns, prepositions, tenses. We are going to repeat it, revise it, because that's going to help you in your communication. So this year, these two important areas are taught, and this is for examination also. In addition to this, we have comparison part. If this is grammar, this is comparison. In comparison, you have new areas. Last year you had informal letter writing. This year you have formal letter writing. Is how to write an application. And then report writing, note making, note taking, and speech writing and dialogue writing. These are all compositions. Means how to write composition, how to write compose sentences. So writing section involves report writing, and then letter writing, that is formal letter, means application, how to write an application. And the next one is speech writing, how to give a speech. And then another thing is dialogue writing. Next, note making and note taking. Do you know? You see, note making is while reading, you make notes. Taking notes means while listening, you take notes. So that is the difference between note making and noting. These are composition exercises. So this carries up to 30% of grammar, 30% of marks, and 20% for this. Passive voice carries 3 marks in your annual examination. Reported speech carries 5 marks. And there are other areas like linkers. Linkers means conjunctions, how to connect sentences. So it carries 4 marks. And idioms and phrases. Idioms are special expressions, 2 marks. And jumbled sentences, jumbled, how to arrange mixed up words into a meaningful sentence. So jumbled exercise, it carries 1 mark. This is grammar part and this is composition part for this year. Let us start with the passive voice today. Let's begin with passive voice. When I say voice, you are familiar with voice. In your high school classes, 8th, 9th and 10th, active voice and passive voice. You are familiar with these 2 concepts. What is voice? What is voice? Where do we use this voice? Why do we use this voice? How to change active voice into passive voice? This voice. You are familiar with voice. What is this voice? Does it refer to the voice that we are making? Is it sound? It is not the sound that you are producing. Voice in grammar area, in our language, linguistic terms, voice refers to the way of expression, or the focus of expression. Focus. Voice refers to the focus. We have active voice and passive voice in English. Active and passive. Sometimes we use active voice in expressions. Sometimes we use passive voice. You know, we use a variety of expressions in our day-to-day communication. From morning till evening, we meet different people. We perform different actions. We have to express ourselves to carry out our actions. We use not a stereotype but single type of sentence. We use a variety of expressions. When I say variety, it could be statement, it could be a question, sometimes it could be a request, sometimes it could be an order, right? Sometimes it could be an exclamation, sometimes it could be a persuasion, a wish, like this. A variety of expressions we use. So also we use this variety. Active expressions, passive expressions. Now let me clarify what is this active expression and passive expression. This voice or active and passive voice refers to verb. It refers to verb, how the action is expressed. For example, let us take this example. English is spoken all over the world. English is spoken all over the world. Let's remove this. See these sentences. Independence Day. When do we celebrate Independence Day? Independence Day is celebrated on August 15th, on 15th August every year. My watch is stolen. Ramayana was written by Valmiki. See these sentences. 1, 2, 3, 4. On the other side, people speak English all over the world. We celebrate Independence Day on 15 August every year. Someone has stolen my watch. Valmiki wrote Ramayana. Look at these sentences under A and under B. They are pains, see. People speak English all over the world. English is spoken all over the world. If you want to get at this by all the people, this is understood by all the people. We celebrate Independence Day on 15th August every year. Independence Day is celebrated on 15th August every year. Someone has stolen my watch. My watch has been stolen. Let me make a correction here. My watch has been stolen by someone. Even without this someone, it makes sense that it is only an addition. It adds to the meaning to make it very clear. Valmiki wrote Ramayana. Ramayana was written by Valmiki. Now tell me. See, do you find any difference between these pages? Look at the first page. People speak English all over the world. English is spoken all over the world. What is the difference between these two sentences? Meaning is same. But here the focus is towards the subject. Who speaks English? If you put this question, people speak. People speak English. So our focus, we are highlighting the subject. So subject is highlighted. The word shows the action of the doer. The doer is who does this action? Who speaks? People. So the word shows subject's action. Doer is the subject. Whereas in this sentence, doer is not there. Look at the subject. The subject is not people. The subject is English. English is spoken all over the world. Who is the speaker here? The speaker comes at the end. The subject is not important. What is done by the subject is important. What do people do? English is spoken. In this sentence, what people do is important. This action is highlighted. English is spoken. Doer is not important. Doer goes towards end. So, when the doer is not important, only the action is important, he said, this is passive sentence. This is passive. And this is quite clear. Active. This is active. What reason active was? Because the word shows the action of the subject. It will be very clear if you look at the second two sentences. See, we celebrate Independence Day on 15th every year. Who celebrates? If you put this question, we celebrate Independence Day on 15th August. So, we celebrate. So, the focus is towards the subject. Subject is the doer. Who celebrates? We celebrate. Subject is the doer. Whereas the second sentence you see, we is not there, subject is not there. Subject goes to the end position. Independence Day is celebrated all over the world. So what is done is important. Who does is not important. Look at these two expressions, sir. Who does the action is not important. What is done is important here. What is done is important. Remember this. Here, what is done? Independence Day is celebrated all over the country on 15th. So, here action is important. Who performs, who does is not at all important. That's why we say this is passive. And this is active because here the doer comes first. We celebrate. The focus is on we, not on action. So this is called highlighting technique. We highlight the subject. Here we highlight the action. So this is active voice. This is passive voice. We say. It will be very clear if you look at the next two examples. Perhaps now you will be able to understand what active voice and passive voice are. Someone has stolen my watch. What does the word show? Who does this action? Someone. I don't know. Someone has stolen my watch. So here, doer is important. Someone has stolen my watch. I want to find out. ಯಾರೋ ವಾಚ್ ಕತ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಬೇಕು. Someone has stolen. See, what is uppermost in my mind? ನನ್ನ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಯೋಚನೆ ಇದೆ? ಯಾರೋ ಕದ್ದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಯಾರೋ ವಾಚ್ ಕದ್ದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಯಾರೋ. So the doer is very important for me. Subject. Doer means here the subject is important. So when the subject is very important, so this is how we express our idea, and that is we say in active voice. Look at the next sentence. The same is in another version. Meaning is same. In both the sentences, watch is gone. Look at, someone has stolen my watch. My watch has been stolen. In both the sentence, watch is gone. Watch is there. I have lost my watch. But the focus is different. Here, the focus is towards the subject. In this sentence, my watch has been stolen. Say, I'm worried about the loss. What has happened? Watch is gone. Hoytappa watch. Watch ಹೋಗಿದೆ. ನಾನು ವಾಚ್ ಹೋಯ್ತು. ನೋಡಿ, ವಾಚ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೇ ಯೋಚನೆ. ಹೋಯ್ತು ವಾಚ್. ಹೊಟ್ಟೋಯ್ತು ವಾಚ್. ಯಾರು ಕದ್ದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನನಗೆ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಈಗ. ಹೋಯ್ತಾ ವಾಚ್. ಎಂಥ ವಾಚ್. My watch has been stolen. So here, what has happened is very important. Who does is not important. ಯಾರು ಕದ್ದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ. ಹೋಯ್ತಾ ವಾಚು. ಎಂಥ ವಾಚು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋ ಲಾಸೇ ಮುಖ್ಯ. Action is important. So here, this is in passive voice. The verb is in passive voice. Look at the next very popular example you are familiar with. ಬಹಳ ಫ್ರೀಕ್ವೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಗಳು. Who wrote Ramayana? Valmiki wrote Ramayana. So here, see, we are highlighting, we are emphasizing, our focus is on action or subject. ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಫೋಕಸ್ ಯಾವುದ್ರ ಮೇಲಿದೆ? ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮೇಲಿದೆಯಾ ಅಥವಾ ಆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮೇಲಿದೆಯಾ? ವಾಲ್ಮೀಕಿ wrote Ramayana. In my expression itself you can understand. ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಫೋಕಸ್. ವಾಲ್ಮೀಕಿ wrote Ramayana. So doer is important. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮುಖ್ಯ. ವಾಲ್ಮೀಕಿ ಕಡೆ ನನ್ನ ಗಮನ ಇದೆ. ವಾಲ್ಮೀಕಿ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ನನಗೆ. ವಾಲ್ಮೀಕಿ wrote Ramayana. Whereas in the second sentence, look at this. Ramayana was written by Valmiki. Now, you are able to understand the difference between the two. So what is the focus here? What focus is here? Ramayana was written. Action is important. Doer is not important. Ramayana ಬರೆಯಲ್ಪಟ್ಟು by Valmiki. So Valmiki is not important. Ramayana ಬರೆಯಲ್ಪಟ್ಟು. So action is important in this sentence. So when you examine all these pairs of sentences, you are in a position to understand what is voice. Voice is nothing but a focus, a highlighting technique. Highlighting technique. What to highlight? ಏನನ್ನು highlight ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ? If I think subject is important, I use this expression. If I think subject is not important, action is important, I go for this expression. So, the speaker has freedom. Language offers a variety of choices. ಭಾಷೆ ಆಡುವಂಥವರಿಗೆ ಭಾಷೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಚಾಯ್ಸಸ್ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆದರೂ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆದರೂ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. Depending upon the emphasis. If you think that doer is very important, you go for this active expression. If you think doer is not important, action is very important, we go for passive expression. So it is a choice. It's nothing but a game, like linguistic games we say. I repeatedly used to say in language classes, in our face-to-face English classes, I used to give this example. It's like riding a car, riding a bike. While riding a bike, what you would do? Depending upon the traffic and the road, you change the gears. So also, depending upon who we are, whom we speak to, where we are, on what topic we discuss. So depending upon who speaks to who speaks to whom, where, when and how, we change the gears of the language. Language gears of the choice. Active voice ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, passive voice ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, variety of sentences, statements ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ, imperative sentences ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ, exclamations ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ. So, depending upon the purpose and interaction. So now it's very clear to you what is voice. Voice is a way of expression. We have two voices, active voice and passive voice. Active voice means subject is very important. Also doer is very important. Doer comes first. No difference here. So active voice means doer important. Doer is the subject important. Subject comes first. Subject comes first. So subject is highlighted, emphasized. Subject is emphasized. In passive voice, you can remember these points. Passive voice, doer is not important. What is done important. Here, what is done is important. ಏನು ನಡೀತೋ ಇಲ್ಲಿ who does is important. Who does the action is important. Who does is important ಆದರೆ passive voice ಅಲ್ಲಿ what is done is important. Second is the real subject. Real subject is doer comes at the end. It goes to the end position. Comes at the end. Look at this. Ramayana was written by Valmiki. Valmiki ಬರೆದಂತಹ subject doer ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿದೆ. Last position. So comes at the end. And the third point you have to remember here, action is highlighted. Action is highlighted. Highlighted. Highlight is focused. Highlighted. If you remember this much, the concept is very clear to you. Take down these sentences, active sentences and passive sentences. Now, voice concept is quite clear to you. What is voice and why do we use this voice? We use this voice, active and passive expressions, just to highlight our ideas. Then, another important point we have to discuss after this concept is how to identify this passive voice. Look at the passive sentences there. English is spoken. Passive sentences I am asking. Look at those passive expressions. how the verb is expressed there. English is spoken. Look at this, is spoken. Independence Day is celebrated. Look at this expression, is celebrated. Next, my watch has been stolen. Look at this, has been stolen. Was written, was written. Okay. Let me write another sentence. VSP is teaching English grammar. English grammar. Let us change it into passive voice. English grammar is being taught. Is being taught by ESP. Look at this. This is active. Who teaches English grammar? VSP is teaching. I ask you, who is teaching? VSP is teaching. The camera is towards VSP now. So VSP is focused. So doer is VSP. This expression is in active voice. This one, another type. Look at this expression. English grammar is being taught. So what is done at present? Grammar is being taught. Action is highlighted. And the subject goes to the last question. Subject is not important in passive expressions. Okay. So these expressions you have to study. You can observe there is one common feature in these expressions. What is the common feature? Can you point out? Common feature is there. The common feature, right here, in passive expressions, you see, here you see is, has been, was, is being. So these are helping verbs, be verbs. We call them be verbs. This is compulsory. In all passive expressions, we use these be expressions. You know, be expressions in first PU classes. In the very beginning itself, we discussed be verbs, helping verbs. What are they? Am, is, are. They show present tense. Then was, and then were, past tense. These three indicate present tense. These two indicate past tense. In addition to this, we have be, being, and being. They are also be verbs. So remember this. This is very important. If you want to express yourself in passive sentences, even in examination also, examination questions also, if you transform, you will be asked to transform from active to passive. Change from active to passive. If you want to change active sentences into passive sentences, you should know these be verbs. What are they? Am, is, are. They show present time, was, were, past time, and then be, being, and being. These three also called helping verbs. So they come. In passive expressions, we use one of these expressions. Passive expression, passive sentence ಅನ್ಕೂಡ್ಲೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಹೆಲ್ಪಿಂಗ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ನೋಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈಸ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸು. Another important thing you should remember, if the active sentence is in present tense, the passive sentence is also in present tense. Active sentence present tense ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರೆ, ಅದರ passive sentence ಸಹ present tense ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. So tense never changes. When you transform one sentence into another, tense remains same. Tense ಬದಲಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Active sentence ಯಾವ tense ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ? ಇದು present tense ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ passive sentence ಸಹ present tense ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಆ present tense ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುವ helping verbs ಯಾವುದು? ಈ ಮೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. First ಪಿ ಯು ಸಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ. ಆರ್ ಬರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟು ಪ್ಲೂರಲ್ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬಂದಿರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟು ಐ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇರೋ ಕಡೆ ಈಸ್ ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟು ಸಿಂಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ವಾಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಪ್ಲೂರಲ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ವರ್ಬ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ನು ಈ ಬಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? ಬಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಯು ಆರ್ ಫೆಮಿಲಿಯರ್ ವಿತ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಲರೀಸ್. ನಿಮಗೆ ಮಾಡಲ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಲರೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪಿ ಯು ಸಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊನೆಯ ಚಾಪ್ಟರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂತು. ಯಾವುದು? ವಿಲ್, ವುಡ್, ಶೆಲ್, ಶುಡ್, ಕ್ಯಾನ್, ಕುಡ್, ಮೇ, ಮೈಟ್, ಮಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ವರ್ಬ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ವಿಲ್, ವುಡ್, ಶೆಲ್, should, can, could, may, might, and then must. These 9 verbs are called modal auxiliaries. The special auxiliaries ಅಂತ. ಇವು ಬಂದಾಗ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ. ಬಿ ವರ್ಬ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕು. ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಬಿ ವರ್ಬ್ ಒಂದು ಇರಲೇಬೇಕು. ಯಾವಾಗ? ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಬರಬೇಕು. ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇವೆರಡರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಸಹ ಈ ವರ್ಬ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ವಿಲ್, ವುಡ್, ಶೆಲ್, ಶುಡ್, ಕ್ಯಾನ್, ಕುಡ್, ಮೇ, ಮೈ, ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ವರ್ಬ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ರೆ ಅವುಗಳ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬಿ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯು ಡೂ ಇಟ್. After this, now we are going to do some exercises. Then it will be very clear to you how to use them, how have ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Look at this. Second sentence ನೋಡಿ. Independence Day is. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ we celebrate. ನೋಡಿ celebrate ಅನ್ನೋ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಬಂತು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ is ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿದ್ವಿ. celebrate ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇದ್ಯಾಕೆ ಬಂದು celebrated ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಬಿ ವರ್ಬ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿ ವರ್ಬ್ ಈಸ್ ಬಂತು, ಈಸ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್. ಬಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಬಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್. ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಸ್ಟೋಲನ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್. ಹ್ಯಾಸ್, ಹ್ಯಾವ್, ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್. ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್, ಹ್ಯಾವ್, ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಬೀನ್ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. Let me write here. Has, have, had. Active sentence ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ವರ್ಬ್ ಸೇರಿಸಬೇಕು. Remember this. So active sentence ಅಲ್ಲಿ has, have, had ಬಂದಾಗ ಅದರ passive form ನಾವು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಬಿ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Look at this. Next sentence. Was written. It was ಆಗಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ. Look at this one. Valmiki wrote Ramayana. This is past tense. Right? See, you must be very familiar with the tense system. Present tense, past participle. You know the chart. Must be your textbook. Last pages has table. So you must be familiar with that table. Otherwise, it is very difficult to identify the tense. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಯಾವ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ರೋಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪಿಂಗ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಹಾಕಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಅದರ ಹೆಲ್ಪಿಂಗ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ಆಗಿ ವಾಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬರೀಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ನೋಡಿ. ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ದಿಸ್. VSP ಈಸ್ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಗ್ರಾಮರ್. ಈಸ್ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ? ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಡೆಡ್. ಈಸ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಟಾಟ್. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ಇನ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್, ಇಫ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್, ಇನ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಬಂದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಷನ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಾವು ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನು ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಈಗ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು ನಿಮಗೆ. ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿ ವರ್ಬ್ ಒಂದು ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಬಿ ವರ್ಬ್ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ನೋಡಿ. ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ದಿಸ್. ಸ್ಪೋಕನ್, celebrated, stolen, written, taught. All these verbs are in past participle form. Compulsory. Past participle. Participle. Past participle ಬರಬೇಕು. Third form of the verb. You know. Third form. Take, took, taken. Speak, spoke, spoken. Right? Learn, learned, learned. So third form. Steal, stole, stolen. Celebrate, celebrated, celebrated. So only we are using third form of the verb. Past participle ಬರಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. Next comes by preposition. By ಅನ್ನೋ preposition ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. Sometimes optional ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಂದಿರಬಹುದು, ಒಂದೊಂದ್ಸಲಿ ಬರದೇ ಇರಬಹುದು. So preposition comes. So if the expression has these concepts, these words, elements, we say, oh, the sentence is in passive voice. So now you know what is voice and how to identify the voice. Very important steps these two are. Iveredu nimage gottadre voice, active voice, passive voice ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ. ಲಿಂಗ್ವಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಗೇರ್ ಅನ್ನು ಆಪರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಯಾವುದು ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾಸ್ ಇದ್ದ ಹಾಗೇನೆ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಬಿ ವರ್ಡ್ ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿ ವರ್ಡ್ ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಿ ವರ್ಡ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದು, ಇದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿ ವರ್ಡ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಇವುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಏನು ಬಂದಿರಬೇಕು, ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಬಿ ವರ್ಡ್ ಬಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪಲ್. ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಓನ್ಲಿ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ರೈಟ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬೈ ಅನ್ನೋ ಪ್ರಿಪೋಸಿಷನ್ ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಯಾಕೆ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ is familiar to you and how to identify. And why we use passive, adu gottayitu. In the very beginning itself I told you why do we use passive voice. Yak bekidu when meaning is same, ee sentences alli baruvanta meaning ಎರಡಲ್ಲೂ ಇರೋದು ಒಂದೇನೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಬೇಕು, why should we have two expressions? I have told you, it's very clear to you. It is only a focusing technique. Meaning same, ಆದರೆ ನಾವು ಹೇಳೋ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಒಂದು ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಪೀಪಲ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಆಲ್ ಓವರ್ ದ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಈಸ್ ಸ್ಪೋಕನ್ ಆಲ್ ಓವರ್ ದ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಈಸ್ ಸ್ಪೋಕನ್. ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಜನ, what do people do? English is spoken, they speak English. So their action, doer is not important, their action is important. ಇಲ್ಲಿ action important. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ it goes to the last question. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅದು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡದೇ ಇದ್ರೂ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. English is spoken all over the world by all the people. ಇದು ಹೇಳದೇ ಇದ್ರೂ ಸಹ the meaning is very clear. So here doer is not important now. You can drop it because this is understood. English is spoken. English ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಯಾರು, ಜನರು. ಜನರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಇನ್ನೇನು ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಾ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜು? ನೋ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್, ಹೌ ಟು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ in today's lesson. So try to remember these points. What is voice? How to identify the voice? Next, why do we use this active voice and passive voice? In science classes, science students are very familiar with and very frequently they use passive voice. In passive voice ಅನ್ನೋದು science students ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಲೇಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, because most of the time in their science classes they will be using this passive voice. Can you remember? Can you try to recollect? Can you try to recall your expressions in laboratory? Laboratory ನಲ್ಲಿ expressions ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ಯಾಕೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ passive voice ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ? ಒಂದು ಕೆಮಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಡೆಮಾನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಡೆಮಾನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ? A hard glass test tube is taken. ನೋಡಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಡೆಮಾನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಈಸ್ ಟೇಕನ್. ಹೂ ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ potassium chloride, manganese dioxide are mixed in some proportion. I am not well acquainted with your science, chemistry. In some definite proportion, potassium chloride and manganese dioxide, they are added. They are put into a test tube. It is heated. Look at these expressions. Are taken. Chemicals are taken. They are mixed. Are taken. They are mixed. And the mixture is heated. The gas is released. It is collected. It is tested. Look at these expressions. Look at your experiment. While demonstrating, we use these passive expressions. Chemicals are taken, they are mixed, it is heated, gas is released, it is collected, and it is tested, and it is proved it is oxygen because it helps in burning. So, in science classes, most of the time, you will be using passive voice. Can you tell me why we use passive voice? Active voice use madadilla. I take the stove. I take the mixture. I heat the mixture. I collect the gas. I test ಅಂತ ಯಾರು ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ passive ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ? You know? In science classes, process is important. It is not the person that is important. Process is important. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ಮುಖ್ಯ ನಮಗೆ? Very important. You should remember. When we meet in face-to-face class, I'll ask you these questions. I don't know how far you'll be able to understand this concept in this distinct mode, this online mode. But when we meet in a face-to-face class, I'll ask you these questions. Why we use passive voice in science classes? Because in science, process is important, not the person. That's why you go for passive expressions. You know, textbooks, science books, ತೆಗೆದು ನೋಡಿ experiments ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ scientific language. Scientific language ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು passive expressions ಅನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. And then ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಡೆ passive ಅನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ newspapers. So in science and in newspapers, reports, news reports ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ doer important ಅಲ್ಲ. News reports ನಲ್ಲಿ we see what is important there. What happened is important. ಏನು ಆಯ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಮುಖ್ಯ, ಯಾವ ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ಲ. See, for example, several people were killed in an accident. News ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Several people, hundreds of people were killed in an accident. Right? And hundreds of people have been admitted to hospital. Several people have been injured. Look at these expressions. Have been injured. Hundreds of people have been injured. Thousands have been admitted to hospitals. Look at these expressions. We come across in newspapers. Accidents ಆದಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ರೈಟರ್ಸ್. ಏನು ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ? Have been injured, admitted. Here action is important. ಯಾರು ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅಲ್ಲ, ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅಲ್ವೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. Action very important. That's why in news reports, in science classes, scientific jargon, we use passive expressions. After this, another important concept we have to discuss. That is how to change one form into another. How to change? Let me give one example. Active sentence ಇಂದ passive sentence ಗೆ change ಮಾಡೋದು ಹೇಗೆ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋ sentences ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. People speak English all over the world. Let us divide this sentence into subject, verb, and object. Now, this is the passive form. ಏನಾಗಿದೆ? Subject goes to the last position. Subject becomes object. Subject to object position ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Object to subject position ಬಂತು ನೋಡಿ. English object ಇಲ್ಲಿ subject ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So positions are changed. ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿದೆ. It's very easy. All these things have been taught in your high school classes. Just I am trying to revise this. ಇದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಹೈ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ 9th and 10th ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಂಟು ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ನಿಮಗೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ? ಸಿ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ರೂಲ್. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಡಿವೈಡ್ ದ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಂಟು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್, ವರ್ಬ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದಿ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್. ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇಂಟು ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್, ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇಂಟು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್. ಆಪರೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ವೆರಿ ಈಸಿ. ಅದು ಈ ಕಡೆ ಅದು ಆ ಕಡೆ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ದಿ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್. ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ನೋಡಿ ಅದು ಯಾವ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿದೆ? ಸ್ಪೀಕ್. ಸ್ಪೀಕ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಯಾವ ಟೆನ್ಸು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸ್ಪೀಕ್, ಸ್ಪೋಕ್, ಸ್ಪೋಕನ್. ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್, ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್, ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪಲ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋ ಹೆಲ್ಪಿಂಗ್ ವರ್ಬ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಜ್ಞಾಪಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕು. ಆಮ್, ಈಸ್, ಆರ್ ಮೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀರಿ? ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಪ್ಲೂರಲ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಆರ್ ತಗೋಬಹುದು. ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಪ್ಲೂರಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಸಿಂಗ್ಯುಲರ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಆಮ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಐ ಇದ್ರೆ ಆಮ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಇವೆರಡೂ ತಗೋಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಈಸ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಈಸ್. ಸೊ ಸ್ಪೀಕ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಹೊರಟಾಯ್ತು. ಇವಾಗ ಅದ್ರ ಬದಲಿ ನಾವು ಈಸ್ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೀವಿ. ಇದರ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪಲ್ ಬರ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಸ್ಪೀಕ್, ಸ್ಪೋಕ್, ಸ್ಪೋಕನ್. ಥರ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ವರ್ಬ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಹಾಗೇನೆ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಬಿ ವರ್ಬ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪಲ್. ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಸ್ಪೋಕನ್, ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಈಸ್ ಸ್ಪೋಕನ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ? ಆಲ್ ಓವರ್ ದ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್. ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಏನೇನು ಫ್ರೇಸಸ್ ಇದೆ ಆ ಫ್ರೇಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರೀಬೇಕು. ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಈಸ್ ಸ್ಪೋಕನ್ ಆಲ್ ಓವರ್ ದ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ಪೀಪಲ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೌ ಟು ಚೇಂಜ್. ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ದಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್. ಅದೇ ತರ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನೋಡಿ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. We celebrate Independence Day on 15th August every year. Again, subject is we, celebrate is the word, Independence Day is the object. Change ಮಾಡಿ. Independence Day becomes subject and we becomes object. ಆಗಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ. Independence Day first ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. Independence Day is ಯಾಕೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ? Look at the celebrate. Study the verb. The verb is in present tense. Celebrate ಹೇಳ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ರಿಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. Celebrate, celebrated, celebrated. So this is present tense. Present tense ಗೆ ನಾವು ಹೆಲ್ಪಿಂಗ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ಅನ್ನು ಹುಡುಕೋಬೇಕು. Again, is. So independence is. Next verb, passive ನಲ್ಲಿ verb ಇದಕ್ಕೆ past participle ಬರೀಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Celebrate, celebrated, celebrated. Independence Day is celebrated on 15th August every year by ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ the subject ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಬೈ ಅಸ್. ಇದು ಬಿಡಬಹುದು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ. ಯಾಕೆ? ವಿ ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರೇಟ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟು ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ಕೋಬಹುದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸಮ್ ಒನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಸ್ಟೋಲನ್ ಮೈ ವಾಚ್. ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ಲಿ ಹೀಗೆ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್, ವರ್ಬ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾಗಿದೆ. ಮೈ ವಾಚ್, ಸಮ್ ಒನ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಸ್ಟೋಲನ್. ನೋಡಿ, ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಸ್ಟೋಲನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ನಾನು ಆಗಲೇ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬರಲಿ, ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬರಲಿ, ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಬರಲಿ, ಯಾವುದೇ ಬರಲಿ ಬೀನ್ ಸೇರಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ನೋಡಿ, ಬೀನ್ ಸೇರಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ನೋಡಿ, ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ಸ್ಟೋಲನ್, ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ಸ್ಟೋಲನ್ by someone. This preposition is added. Next, Valmiki wrote Ramayana. Similarly, now you are familiar with the exercise. You know how to change. Because I think subject becomes object, object becomes subject. Ramayana subject ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, Valmiki object ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Wrote ಅನ್ನೋದು past tense ಇದೆ. Past tense ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಹೆಲ್ಪಿಂಗ್ ವರ್ಬ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ was ತಗೋಬೇಕು. past tense ಗೆ was and passive expression ಆದ್ರಿಂದ wrote ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ past participle ಏನು? write, wrote, written ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. written by Valmiki. ಓಕೆ, ನಾವು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಈ ತರ ಇನ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? VSP is teaching English grammar. Inform ಬಂದಾಗ ಅಷ್ಟೇ very easy technique. Subject and objects are interchange. ಅದು ಕಾಮನ್. Subject to object interchange ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Next tense ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. is teaching ಅಂತಿದೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ being ಅನ್ನು ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ. is ಹಾಗೆ ಉಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. is remains as it is and being is added in between. ಎರಡರ ಮಧ್ಯೆ being ಸೇರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. Next teaching becomes taught. ಇಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ inform ಹೊರಟೋಗುತ್ತೆ. Teach becomes taught. Teach, taught, taught. ಇದರ past participle ಏನು? Taught. So English grammar is being taught by ESP. So this is how we change active sentences into passive sentences. And one more aspect I have left out, that is when these words appear in the sentences, ಇದನ್ನ oral ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು face to face classes ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? See, will, would, shall, should, can, could, may, might, must. ಇವು ಬಂದಾಗ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಅವು ಬಂದಾಗ ಬಿ ಸೇರಿಸಬೇಕು, ಬಿ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ರೈಟ್? ರೈಟ್. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ PUC English examination will be conducted on 25th. ನೋಡಿ ಯಾವ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ PUC English exam will be conducted on 25th this month by the board, by the PU board. Look at this sentence and tell me what voice is it in? Is it active voice or passive voice? Second PUC English examination will be conducted on 25th. You know very well, English examination is not over. All the papers have been done except English. Now the board will conduct English examination. Active sentence are ಏನು PU board, PU directorate or board will conduct English examination, second PU English examination on 25th. That is active sentence. First sentence ಏನಿದು? First sentence is in active voice. PU board will conduct second PU English examination on 25th of this month. This is active because who conducts examination, that is highlighted. ಯಾರು ಕಂಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ? PU board will conduct. So this is dual is important. ಇದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಅದು ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗೋಯ್ತು. ಈ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ. Second PUC English examination will be conducted on 25th by the PU board. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ಕಂಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಏನ್ ನಡೀತಾರೆ? Exam will be conducted. So action is highlighted. That's why it is in passive voice. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಈ will ಬಂದಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾವು be ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ passive voice ನಲ್ಲಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು will, would, shall, should ಇವು ಯಾವೇ ಬರಲಿ ನಾವು be ಅನ್ನ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. So this is in a nutshell active voice and passive voice. In regular classes I will be doing some exercises. This is only a theory. What is voice? Why do you use this voice? How many voices are there? How to change active voice into passive voice? And where do we use this passive voice? These concepts have been very clear to you now. So we will be meeting in the next class and we will do some exercises on active voice and passive voice. Thank you.